welcome to this very special edition of the Pipe Bomb Wrestling Podcast, the show that is for the fans, by the fans. I'm your phenomenal host, Mr. Podcasting, Chris Belcher, and with me is the third man, even though the second man's not here. The third man, I've been waiting so long to say this. I'm going to say it again. It's the professor, Mr. Batkiewicz. Batkiewicz. I love doing that. Jason Batkiewicz is in the house as a special guest on the show, literally in the house. How's it going, man?
Oh, man. So great to be back. Had a fun trip to Parts Unknown.
Parts Unknown.
Had a little hiatus.
Listen, you've been moved away for so long that it's Parts Unknown now. For those of you who don't know, Jason now lives near Jared, not near me. So yeah, traveling back is Parts Unknown, really? Did you take back roads?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
you
okay.
have to.
Oh, well, that's true.
That's how you get there.
I guess that's true. So we are live. If you are watching us on YouTube, we apologize if the screen shakes. This is not your professional setup.
We're just very strong men.
That's
so,
what we do.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll give Mark Henry a run for his money
Exactly.
if we're not careful.
Exactly.
So if you're watching on YouTube, thank you for joining us. We greatly appreciate it. If you are listening to us on the traditional audio format, you can find us anywhere that you find your podcast. Make sure to follow us all over social media. We are at PBW Podcast on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Twitch, YouTube, all the places. If you want to buy a t-shirt, we would greatly appreciate that as well. Please be sure that you visit prowrestlingtees.com/PBW podcast. Pick you up a great shirt and take a picture. Send it to us. Support the show. It's the easiest way to do it. But man, we are here tonight. Jared and I earlier this week previewed NXT TakeOver Stand and Deliver. What a two-night spectacular that it was. And you and I are going to review the thing. It was absolutely incredible, and I feel like we would be remiss by going through WrestleMania weekend if we didn't talk about NXT TakeOver. I mean, just right off the bat, the whole atmosphere, the way they had everything set up, the ramp, the stage, the more people in the crowd, it was just, the only word I can honestly think of to describe it is big. It was just a big atmosphere.
My first thought after I saw everything, when they went live was, why am I not there?
Right. I know.
I don't know if you felt that
too.
way.
Oh, don't know if I felt that way. I was supposed to be there last year.
Yeah, true.
So, I mean, absolutely. I wish that we could have been there. An incredible atmosphere to be a part of and an incredible card to be part of. 2 nights. They did this last year, and it seemed like they were forced to do it with the pandemic last year. Now they did it 2 nights again. Do you think this could be the standard moving forward, or do you think cause too many travel issues and things like that?
No, I think it can be a standard. They definitely is a market piece to get people to come, and then everybody gets a shot on the roster to get a match on.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, sometimes with the main roster in those 2 nights, sometimes it gets a little watered down, or the matches are too short or whatever. But this way with NXT, even though more people get a shot at it, it just doesn't feel watered down. It doesn't feel rushed. I was in attendance for WrestleMania 35, and honestly, like, there are some great matches on there that I don't remember because they all were like 10 minutes or less. Whereas with NXT, you had 5 matches on each night, and they were given time, and it felt much better. Like, it didn't feel like if they put it all on one show that they would have had to rush it.
Right. They kept it simple. And the flow of the different styles of matches kind of helps.
Sure. Oh, yeah. That's one of the things that I don't know if you listen or not, or if the people that are listening to us listen to Dave LaGreca and Bully Ray on Busted Open, which I've recently discovered that I really, really like, and I highly recommend it. But anyway, that's one of the points that they were making, that it started off hot and heavy with Kushida and Pete Dunne, and then it went to the kind of the spot fest in the gauntlet match, and then it went to, stripped down dirty wrestling with Walter and Ciampa, spot fest with MSK, and then with Raquel Gonzalez and Io Shirai. Very just solid wrestling.
Well, I thought it just kind of snuck up to where it was the main event.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, I was just like, okay, what's next? But, oh, shoot, it's almost over.
Yeah, exactly. That's a way that's when you know that a takeover is good, is because you don't realize that it's almost over. You're just so sucked into it. And you and I were talking before we started recording that I think night number 1 and night number 2, which we're going to get to here in just a minute, I think they both could stand alone as great takeovers, but together that makes them like top 3 of all time.
Oh
I
yeah,
think.
that's a separate podcast of ranking takeovers.
Oh, we should do that.
That's gonna be a tough one.
That would be really, really
But you're
tough.
right though. It made it just extra special.
It really did. Yep, for sure it did. All right, let's break it down. Night number 1. The night kicks off with Pete Dunne and Kushida, a really great opener. Jared and I called this on the preview show earlier this week, and man, they delivered. It was hard hitting, it was technical. These guys delivered on stuff that I've never seen them do before, but you put those two guys together, they really brought out the best in each other.
Absolutely. The story I walked away from watching was that they made it personal.
Yep. Well, it's funny you said that because on the bump earlier this week, Triple H and Shawn Michaels were on there and they were talking about this. And the legit story, excuse me, Pete Dunne was out in the ring cutting a promo about how he was the best technical wrestler ever or whatever. And Triple H said that Kushida was standing at the gorilla position watching this promo and he legit just laughed.
I love it.
Like it's like, yes, this is a rivalry on TV. Yes, this is the story that we're telling, but he took that personally.
Sure.
And I think that came out in the ring.
Definitely did.
Yeah. And so I thought that was great. I thought that was an awesome way to open the show. And then you go to the 6-man gauntlet match, which may have been a spot fest in some ways, but when you get a multi-man match together like that, there's going to be just spots.
Well, not so much spots for me. Like I don't really see that as a downside.
Sure.
What I liked is spotlighted every character.
Yep.
And it kind of showed the character and how they interacted in the ring and kind of saw them kind of have a little bit extra of a time.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
It really did spotlight everybody. It made everybody feel important. It made it seem like at one point or another that any of them could have won the match.
Absolutely.
But you have Bronson Reed coming out on top. I think he pinned Isaiah Swerve Scott to end the match. You had LA Knight in there, Dexter Lumis, Leon Ruff, my favorite, Cameron Grimes. I don't know why I like Cameron Grimes so much, but I do. He's great.
The one thing I would say, I really thought LA Knight was going to win.
Yeah.
I know that kind of plays into maybe some difficult storytelling between Johnny and LA Knight.
Yep.
But
well, they did have that confrontation last week on NXT, so it kind of seemed like that they might go that direction. I was never a big fan of, I guess it was, I don't remember what his name was. Eli Drake?
Eli Drake, yeah.
On Impact and all that kind of stuff. I never really got into, I guess. So I don't know how this kind of fits in with what he normally does. But it seems like that they kind of pushed him a little bit in and they're kind of reeling it back instead of continuing that push.
Sure. Like a slow burn, if you will.
Yeah.
Now, the one person I thought had a rocket strapped to him was Swerve.
Yeah, and I was curious about that too, because it seems very start and stop with him too.
Mm-hmm.
I thought honestly that it would come down to Bronson Reed and Cameron Grimes.
Sure, that made sense.
That's what I thought.
But I think honestly that kind of made Swerve throughout this match, and I'm interested in seeing what they do.
Yeah,
forward.
Yeah, that's definitely pretty interesting. Again, Jared and I called that Bronson Reed was going to win this match on the preview show last week. Pretty excited that he did because it turned out to be a really good match with him and Gargano on night number 2. But again, we'll get there in a minute. The match that I was not looking forward to, and I admitted that I really wasn't looking forward to, I wanted to because I'm a huge Ciampa fan, but you got Walter and Ciampa and Bully Ray and Dave LaGreca. Again, I'll go back to them because I recently listened to their review of this. Put this over, and Bully Ray said this is the way that professional wrestling should be done, and he dares anybody to top this match all weekend.
Hey, that's a great opinion. I kind of have to agree with that.
I mean, it definitely was match of the night in night number 1. I think there's some spots in night number 2 that could contest it, but I've been very vocal by saying that I'm not a huge Walter fan, but Ciampa really brought out another side in him.
And that's kind of what Ciampa has been doing lately, just kind of putting over talent. I just didn't know what you thought about that.
I don't like it because I'm such a Ciampa fan that I want him back in the main event picture. So, yes, this put him in the main event picture. Yes, he had a barn burner of a match, but he's not consistently in that top tier. You know what I mean? To me, Ciampa is kind of like an AJ Styles. He needs to be in that very top tier because he's the kind of guy that can push guys to the next level. And while that's good for the middle of the card, that makes the top of the card even better.
Yeah, that makes sense. I can see that.
That's where I'm at with Ciampa on this. But it, like I said, definitely match of the night for sure.
Personal favorite of mine, just because I'm a mark for Walter.
You're a mark for Walter. That's true. I forget about that sometimes. I don't know, man. Like the first Walter match that I ever watched was him and Pete Dunne at TakeOver New York when Jared and I were there. And everybody was like, oh, that match was so good, so good. I was like, I just couldn't get it. I don't know what it is.
I think it's a lot to take in for your first match. And, there's matches we talked about before that you haven't seen.
That's true.
So the evolution of Walter might really end. We'll see.
That's true. I am like, I do, what's the best way to phrase this? Imperium intrigues me. Their persona and what they're about. I think that's a really, it's just a downright really good wrestling group. So that kind of intrigues me, but then that bell rings, and then I kind of get, I don't know. And more on that later. Maybe I'll give Walter another chance. We'll see. Let's move on to the tag team championship match. The vacated tag team championships, MSK defeating Grizzled Young Veterans and Legado del Fantasma. MSK beat GYV in the Dusty Rhodes Classic and seemingly would set up a match with Danny Burch and Oney Lorcan. Of course, one of those guys gets hurt. And MSK got hurt at the same time too. Mm-hmm. But man, I thought it was good. I'm not going to go out and say it was great. I thought it was good. What do you think?
No, I'm with you. It wasn't like, my favorite match. I'm not going to go back and watch this match as far as,
right.
When I go back later on through the next week. But what I will say is MSK has been exceeding my expectations.
Yeah.
I don't know if you feel that way. I don't know much about them, but
right.
what I have seen, they have stayed on the same level of performance.
They're very Young Bucks-esque. And there was another team that I don't remember that I compared them to. Who was it? It doesn't matter. Anyway, they're very like Young Bucks. Okay, I know. Young Bucks meet Street Profits.
Sure, I can see that for sure.
And that's MSK. To me, that's them. And that's not necessarily a bad thing because all 6 of those guys are incredibly talented, or they wouldn't be at the level that they are. That's the kind of comparisons that I draw with those guys. But you're right. Like I don't know a whole lot about them either, but from what I've seen, they're pretty innovative.
I feel like they've proven themselves to be on that top level.
For sure.
With this tag team division.
Because there's not too many guys that come in off the streets or off the indies like they did and make an impact this quick and become champions this quick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They kind of put their money where their mouth is.
Yeah, for sure. Speaking of putting their money where their mouth is, Raquel Gonzalez finally winning the NXT Women's Championship, dethroning Io Shirai, the 3rd women's champion in NXT history to hold the title for over 300 days. Of course, you have Asuka and Shayna Baszler as the other 2. It was a really good match. Io's dive off the skull in the entranceway was insane.
It made me speechless.
That was crazy. Like 20, 25 feet in the air. A lot of people online, man, are talking about how that this match was cut due to time, that some other match went over. And I don't know if it was the tag match. I wouldn't think it would be the gauntlet match because I would think you'd have to a lot of time for that anyway. But I thought the length of this match was fine.
I didn't feel like it was rushed.
I wouldn't have wanted it to be any longer.
But I will say I was watching on Peacock, and so I didn't have the normal commercial breaks to give me a feel for, hey.
Okay, that makes sense.
Like, I knew when they would cut to the break.
Right.
But the action didn't stop, obviously.
Right.
So I didn't feel like I didn't get my money's worth.
That's true. That makes a lot of sense too. When I went back to watch it, I watched it on Peacock as well and noticed. I mean, I noticed the same thing, but I mean, I don't know. It felt good to me. Like it didn't feel like you said, it didn't feel rushed, and it didn't feel like it needed to be any longer than what it was. I really loved the raw emotion of Raquel Gonzalez after the match, and just when somebody wins the big championship like that, and just that emotion that comes out, no matter if they're a face or a heel, it's stuff like that that makes you love wrestling and appreciate that person in the spot that they're in.
Yeah, and I like that too because I don't think you need to pigeonhole them to being, oh, they're a face because they were emotional that they're and happy that they won.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like, and she didn't cheat to win, so it's not like this. Like, I guess it's this tweener
right
role that they push them into, but it kind of brings out the reality of, hey, this is a little bit more than being this hard, tough wrestler.
Right.
I'm going to show a little bit of emotion in here.
Right. Did you think it was weird that they didn't bring Dakota Kai out to celebrate with her?
At first, I thought that, but then I thought it would take away the moment.
I thought that too. And I also thought, I don't know a whole lot about Raquel and Dakota personally. Do you know if they're like personally best friends outside of the business?
I don't know. I thought it was more of a Shawn Diesel
Mm.
pairing.
Okay. That makes
That's
sense.
kind of what I thought initially.
Like they just met when they were paired up.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. Okay. Because like I feel like if they were legit best friends, that she would have come out.
Right.
You know what I mean? Even if it was the moment or like in that moment, Raquel would have wanted Dakota to be there.
And maybe that's a storyline that'll play out.
Ooh, look at you.
Raquel kind of goes towards more of a babyface role.
And Dakota is jealous.
Yeah.
Look at you, fantasy booking already.
We'll see.
Because like I look back and behind me, you got Johnny Gargano winning his first NXT championship. Sorry, yeah, this is a different background. This is the other side of my office. But anyway, I think of Johnny Gargano winning the NXT championship for the first time and Ciampa going out there.
Right.
You know, and those two guys were in a blood feud until that moment. And he walks out and they're legit like best friends. You know what I mean? So that's what makes me think, yeah, it was Johnny's moment.
Sure.
Yeah, we want Johnny to have that moment, but here comes Ciampa. You know what I mean? That's what it made me think of. All right. That was night number one. Night number two also started with a bang, but a different kind of bang. It was the ladder match to basically unify the Cruiserweight Championship. I hate that they use that term because I thought that was kind of weird. To determine the true Cruiserweight champion, Santos Escobar and Jordan Devlin. Man, it started off great because I thought Escobar's entrance was great. I was captured immediately. It's just something different. But what was weird to me throughout the whole match was it seemed like from that entrance all the way through that the crowd was behind Escobar.
Yeah, that's the way I felt.
But he's the heel.
Right.
I thought it was really strange that was that way. I don't know. But man, a rough bump to end the match. Jordan Devlin busting through the ladder. A rough bump, but a crazy match all the way around.
Favorite spot for me is just the running Spanish fly.
Oh man, that's so
incredible.
Crazy. That's so insane that they were able to do that. And then of course the Spanish fly off the ladder was crazy. I thought, man, when Devlin was climbing the ladder and Legado del Fantasma came out and they pushed him off the ladder, that was a nasty bump.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh my god.
That got me off my feet.
Oh, for sure.
Or onto my feet.
Onto your feet, yeah. Off of your butt and onto your feet. That's it.
That's it. Yeah.
But yeah, man, just a crazy, crazy ladder match. Again, not too much, but enough. You know?
Yep. Just right.
It wasn't oversaturated with craziness.
Exactly.
It was really good though. And then of course Escobar's son coming out at the end, that was really cool. I'm really interested to see, man, what they. If you think about it, Devlin has to go back to the UK, and it's going to be difficult for him to travel unless they lift some of these restrictions. So they kind of their hand was forced to have Escobar win. I'm really interested to see how they progress Escobar from here.
Sure.
Because to me, he seems like the next evolution of an Andrade.
Yeah. Very similar ring style.
And he was really good in NXT.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that'll be interesting.
Yeah, I'm excited.
The next one is one that we have opinions on that we're about to share. Ember Moon and Shotzi Blackheart retaining the NXT Women's Championship over the Way, Indy Hartwell and Candice LeRae. I'm not surprised that Ember and Shotzi won. Tell me this, because this is what bugged me. They originally gave the NXT Women's Championship when they first, introduced them, gave them to Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez. Then later that night, Ember Moon and Shotzi Blackheart beat them for the titles. I understand that Raquel was going to be in line for EO, but why not just say we're going to have a match?
Yeah, that confused me.
What, like, it totally convoluted this whole thing, because now if you would have had a match for the vacant championship, then there would have been a shot for Candice and Indy to win this match.
Mm-hmm.
But to me, like, there was no way that titles were changing here.
Yeah, I agree. And I don't know, man. They have something against Candice.
I don't get it. I don't
know if
get
she's
it.
too nice behind the scenes and they just
It's
let
like,
her put people over, or
I was going to
what?
say, it's like she's only there to put people over. Like, she has not won a big time, big spotlight match, I don't think, since she's been in NXT.
She's always the one to take the big ending bump.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying?
And by her past, what she's done on the indie scene and stuff like that, yeah, that makes sense. But
when's she gonna get hers?
When's she gonna get hers?
And I mean, to solidify the Way,
Yeah.
To have all the titles or that they can hold possibly.
Right.
And just kind of move that faction a little more forward.
Because she's not going to beat Raquel Gonzalez.
Right.
I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. Candice, listen, if you're listening out there, booking committee, Candice LeRae is better than what you're allowing her to be. Okay, give her the title. We want to see a Candice LeRae run with the NXT Women's Championship. I'm just saying. Please, and thank you. Speaking of the Way, the NXT North American Champion Johnny Gargano retains in a really, really good match with Bronson Reed. I was impressed, man. I really was. I mean, I love Johnny Gargano, and I think everything he does is gold, but this was really good.
It kind of puts Johnny a little bit more out of his box, more of comfort, I would say, just wrestling a big dude.
Well,
so that's what I was excited for.
I think to that point, I think it's always, they always talk about the clash of the giants. You've got The Undertaker versus Kane, or you've got fill in the blank. But I think it's way better when you've got a big guy and a small guy, because the matches are so much more entertaining. And it was evident to me with this.
Then there's so much more you can do in the match.
Yeah.
More stories you can show.
Yeah.
More dynamics, that, if you will.
Yeah.
That kind of separate when you have same size people.
Right. And the easy story is Johnny can't get Bronson Reed off his feet. And then when he finally does, how does he keep him down? And then he keeps coming back and coming back. And then he tries a stinking moonsault off the top rope. Oh my gosh.
Right.
That was insane. But I think Bronson Reed still has a lot to learn. But I think, man, putting him in the ring with a guy like Johnny Takeover. That's it, man. That's it. Speaking of Johnny Takeover and his gear, oh man.
Thank you, Johnny, for that. The Iron Man
was so good.
Tribute. Ooh, so good.
Man, I'm a gear guy, and that was, man, they hit it on the head for me.
A+.
Let's get to the double main event. Karrion Kross, Finn Balor up first, and then Kyle O'Reilly and Adam Cole. You think it was right to have these matches in this order, not have the championship close the night?
I do. And I didn't at first until I watched it play out. So obviously I'm kind of more of the old school where the title should end the night.
Sure, me too.
But the story that they told with Kyle and Adam Cole, and just kind of the extra mile they went through that match made sense because you're going to be fatigued. You're not going to want to go after that match.
That's true. I guess that would answer this question before I even ask it. Would you have put that match on first?
O'Reilly and Cole?
Yeah.
No. I just think nobody could go after that match.
That's true.
And I think the fans would just be dead in the next match.
That's true.
I think that's the way to end
Especially the way they booked it. Yep. I guess that's true. Well, excuse me. Before we get to that one, Karrion Kross wins back the NXT Championship from Finn Balor. I think it's very interesting. Let's see if I can remember these stats right. Karrion Kross is 12-0 in singles matches.
Yep.
Finn Balor had never lost a championship match at TakeOver.
Correct.
Something had to give. Like Vic Joseph said that on the commentary. Yes, I am an aspiring commentator, so I pick up on these things. He said that on the commentary right after the entrance or the
video package.
Yeah. He said it, and nobody said anything. And immediately I went, well, Vic, I guess that means that something's got to change tonight. One of these guys are going to suffer their first defeat. Who's it going to be? I'm excited to see how this plays out. Nobody said it. Like, come on, that needed to be there. Anyway, sorry. I thought Balor's entrance was awesome. The way they did throughout his career.
Did you think for a split second that he was going to have the demon set up?
No. And the reason is kind of, but the reason is because I read an interview with him.
Yeah.
Where he said
it would be a step back.
Yep.
But the last image in the middle of that little screen area that they showed was the demon, and it was like the biggest image.
Yep.
So then they cut to the entrance. I was like, wait, is he doing the demon? He said he wouldn't do it. So it kind of got me a little bit confused at first.
And the demon's never lost.
Right. And I don't really like what they did with the demon when Finn was called up to the main product.
Well, I think that, this is the ongoing, honestly, man, this is one of the biggest what ifs, at least in the last 25 years in the wrestling business. Like, what if, because what he did with Seth Rollins in that first feud was great. Then he gets hurt. So what if he doesn't get hurt? Maybe they use the demon correctly.
True.
You know what I mean? So then when he comes back, it's like, oh, well, we have to get the demon in there. How do we do it? And we've lost all this momentum with him.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
It's such a big what if. But the finish didn't surprise me. I fully expected Karrion Kross to win this. So my question to you is, now that Finn Balor has almost reinvented himself, he had all this in him before, but he's almost really reinvented himself. Do you think it's time to go back to the main roster?
I can see him going to SmackDown.
Yeah.
I think Raw wouldn't be the best fit for him unless they get, they do the shakeup or the draft, if you will. Mm-hmm. But SmackDown would be the best bet. But I don't want him to go. I think that as I say that, I'm thinking out loud, and I don't know where he would or who he would feud with after this, unless he has a rematch with Kross for a little bit.
I mean, I would think that he would. I mean, if you bring him back at the level that he's at right now, he goes to Roman Reigns.
Right. I just meant on NXT.
On NXT. Yes. Yeah. I don't know where he goes on NXT.
That's where I'm kind of concerned that he will be called up.
Right. So I think that leads into my next question then. Kross, it's clear that Kross was supposed to have a long reign as champion,
right,
or he wouldn't have gotten the title back this quick. Having said that, this is truly the best Finn Balor we've ever seen.
Definitely.
Had Kross not gotten hurt, Balor doesn't win the championship to push him, even, not saying he wouldn't have gotten there, but how do you think he gets there without the title, without this run? What do you think that looked like?
I think it would have been the same matchups, just without the title. He would have went through done, and then Kyle O'Reilly.
O'Reilly, yeah.
But it wouldn't have been as impactful because he didn't have the title.
Hmm.
That's just what I would think.
I mean, he has definitely pushed himself to the stratosphere. I mean, the guy this is the Finn Balor that we all expected.
Well, this is the Finn Balor we had.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I see what you're saying. Yeah, pre-injury for sure. Yeah. But this edgy,
Yeah, sure. There's some tweaks there.
Yeah.
That make him a little bit more, I guess, strong style,
right?
If you will.
Yeah. I'm a fan. I think it's time to put him back on the main roster.
Oh, I don't know.
I think you put him on SmackDown. I think you let this Finn Balor go to war with Daniel Bryan.
But see, I think they'll water him down.
Sure they will.
And that's where I feel like that will make him go back into what he was after his injury on the main product.
Yeah.
So that's my fear. I hope I'm wrong. I hope they don't do that. So if you're listening, please don't do that.
Again, if you're listening, do what we tell you to do, okay? All right.
Of course you're listening. Who wouldn't be listening?
Who wouldn't be listening to the Pipe Bomb Wrestling Podcast? Make sure you follow us all over social media at PBW Podcast and spread the word. All right. Main event of NXT TakeOver Stand and Deliver, night number 2. Just an insane, unsanctioned match between Kyle O'Reilly and Adam Cole. Baby. There's not a lot I can say about this match other than if you haven't watched it, you got to see it to believe it. It's insane. It really is.
What it made me want to do is go back and watch their other matches from their other, Ring of Honor or.
Oh, yeah. I didn't even think about that.
I don't know the other promotions that they were in that they fought, but there were several.
Was O'Reilly in New Japan?
I don't think so.
Evolve?
Yes.
Evolve was one of them.
They have an Evolve match, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I hadn't even thought about that, but yeah, I definitely want to go back and watch that too. I mean, it's just brutal. I mean, good grief. The brain buster on the table, and the table didn't break. Going through the ramp, and then, my goodness, Cole busting through the side of the ramp to drag him out.
That was cool.
Oh, that was hilarious.
Yeah.
You got the knee wrapped up in the chain to end the match. We talked about before we started recording the last shot with him sitting on the chair. I mean, man,
I legit thought it was over after that. So they got me. Well done.
Absolutely. I mean, these two guys really told a story well. I was surprised by the ending. Honestly, Jared and I kind of talked about it on the preview. Like, if O'Reilly wins this, if Cole wins, then that. And I told you before we started recording, I think this pushes Adam Cole to the main roster.
Yeah, I think you're right. And I think it solidifies O'Reilly as the top babyface right now.
Yep.
In NXT. So I wonder if that will be the next takeover with him versus Karrion Kross.
Yeah, maybe.
What do you think about that?
I don't hate that at all. I would hate to see Kross squash him though.
Right. But I think Kyle O'Reilly is the type where he can lose and it doesn't make him less impactful going forward.
Right. I mean, I honestly, this was, if Balor and O'Reilly didn't make you care about O'Reilly then this was to try to push him to that next level. But he's never going to get to that next level unless he gets over that stupid air guitar head banging nonsense.
Yeah, I gotcha.
If you're going to put him on his own, he's got an MMA background. He's got a judo background. He's got his fist taped. He's got the hood on. He's doing this and this. But he's headbanging his air guitar. He's doing this stupid strut. If he's going to be legit, you got to pick one or the other.
I'm with you. I think you're right. I think you got to stick with one side of those.
It's cool to do in a group, but not by yourself.
No.
I mean, you can get away with it if you're like, I don't know, just a goofy character. But you can't get away with it if you're trying to be a serious guy.
Especially if you got that mean streak going.
I don't think Kyle O'Reilly has the mic skills to be a goofy guy.
Yeah, I don't know much about it.
Every promo that I've seen of him has kind of been like, it didn't like get me.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
I felt like he had to yell to be impactful.
I felt like he just had the group speak.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, okay, everybody's going to talk, and then it's just going to be a little short, little phrases here and there.
Right. Right. And he's not. I don't know. I mean, we're not behind the scenes. We don't know these things for sure. This is just our opinions. We're not stating this as fact, people, unlike some other dirt sheet writers who think that everything they state is fact. Yes. Do you like that? Like that? That was good. So, man, NXT TakeOver, stand and deliver. We just wanted to hop on and give you guys our thoughts on some of the stuff. Overall, night 1 and night 2, what was your biggest takeaway from NXT TakeOver?
They just keep elevating their product with these takeovers. There's not like a lull when they do these takeovers. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you can argue one or two there, here and there, but they just kind of just up themselves each time.
I asked Jared about this. This is not in my notes, but I'm going to ask you about it as we get ready to close up shop here. When Kyle O'Reilly and Adam Cole did the contract signing on NXT a couple of weeks ago, Shawn Michaels and Adam Cole had a very specific 10-second still shot stare down. What do you make of that?
Yeah, I honestly, it has to mean something. Why would they do it? Why would they do it if that's not going to be?
That's what I said.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a marketing tool to see if there's enough buzz for this match.
Do you put it on NXT?
Yeah.
Is Shawn Michaels' final match on NXT?
Yeah, I've heard interviews of Shawn saying that he regrets coming back for that other match at the Saudi show.
Would Vince let it be on NXT? Or would he look at it and say, no, this is Shawn Michaels. It's got to be fill in the blank.
The only reason I would say he might is because of the Peacock.
Oh, yeah.
To drive people to watch. So if they did, just to kind
of because NXT would be on USA, or if it was a takeover, it would still be on Peacock, but still.
Right.
So
that's just a thought.
Okay, I just wanted to get your thoughts because I don't know.
Yeah, that's like, I don't know. Maybe just because I've watched a lot of behind the scenes things and we're so wrapped up in wrestling.
Right.
You don't just put something like that on there and not have a meaning towards it.
Shawn Michaels has enough pull backstage. Like, he's not going to turn down a lot of things to do. He's just that kind of guy. He's like, I'll do whatever. It doesn't matter to me. But that was a specific decision that they stood there and they stayed for an extended amount of time. There's something to it. I don't know what it is. I hope it's a match.
I hope it's a match, yeah. Give me that match and then put Walter versus Karrion Kross. Title versus title.
Ooh, I see. Listen, this guy fantasy booking over here.
Well, when you spend time in parts unknown, you got a lot of time to think on your hands here. So,
oh my goodness, that's hilarious. Well, man, this was a blast. I'm glad you could hop back on and join us for this NXT TakeOver review. Again, if you're listening to this on the day that it drops on Saturday, make sure you check us out tonight as we go live on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. All those places, we hope. Cross your fingers. So make sure you check us out. It's going to be a lot of fun as we cover WrestleMania with all kinds of special guests. It's going to be a blast. Make sure you follow us on social media at PBW Podcast, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagrams where you can find us. Buy a t-shirt, prowrestlingtees.com/PBW Podcast. All of our regular episodes drop on Monday and Wednesday. But with it being WrestleMania week, you never know when we're going to pop up. So just make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you subscribe to us on YouTube as well. Any place you subscribe, you're going to get an alert every time a show comes up. And we're going to keep delivering the goods.
Leave us a comment.
Leave us a comment. Leave us a review.
Yeah.
Let us know what you think. Let us know what your biggest takeaway from TakeOver was. What you think about Shawn Michaels and Adam Cole. Let us know what you think. We'll talk about it on the show. We want to talk about what you want to hear about. That's what we're here for. This podcast is for the fans, by the fans. We appreciate y'all checking us out. Mr. Batkiewicz, thank you for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
I appreciate it. More from the two of us, as well as many more, coming up later this weekend. Thanks for joining us on the Pipe Bomb Wrestling Podcast. I'm Chris Belcher, and we will catch you guys down the road.